So it's now 1:30 and I thought I would come on here and start making my lunch because I'm eating later than I planned, but I am so looking forward to making this lunch now. And even though I've actually been okay hunger-wise, considering I've just had juices today, I'm definitely ready to eat. So I am going to be making today the Kale Caesar Pasta Salad, and I felt like I really wanted this because I haven't had pasta in a really long time. And, oh, sorry if you just heard Fig moaning in the background. But also it's such a rainy day here and it's just a bit grim outside and I just fancied something quite wholesome. So I'm going to be making the pasta and I will show you guys how I'm going to do it. So first up, I just thought I would go through my ingredients with you. I am going to be using the brown rice pasta. I couldn't get any bows, so this is what I'm going for. I personally prefer using brown rice pasta. And I am going to be using this dairy-free almond yogurt, which is from Nush. Is that how you say it? I guess so. I'm going to be using some almond milk, which you probably have seen. I've got the Worcester sauce, tomatoes, Dijon mustard. The only thing I have forgotten, which is very annoying, is I have completely forgotten to get the anchovy paste, but I'm thinking it's going to be all right without it. So first up, I am going to prepare the sauce, which is going to go in the pasta. So I'm going to put the pasta on in a second to cook behind me. But first of all, I'm going to prepare the sauce. So what I'm going to do is whack in here the Greek yogurt. So we need half a cup of Greek yogurt. And like I said, I'm using this almond yogurt. So I'm going to whack in, this is my measuring cup that I tend to use. I mean, I have no idea if this is the right size, but this is what I always do use. So we're going to do half a cup of this. And whacked in. That's a good amount, I would say. That smells amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna whack that into my bowl. And it all, it doesn't matter if you're using natural yogurt, all depends what your preference is. I just personally, I'm not vegan, but I don't really like having cow's yogurt necessarily. So this is why I would use an almond yogurt. And also a really good one is coconut yogurt, which is also a really good alternative. 4 tablespoons of lime juice. I tend to just literally, instead of putting tablespoons, I would just give it a good squeeze of lime, but it's up to you. If you want to measure it out completely, that's entirely up to you. That is probably the correct way to do it. I just don't. This knife is terrible, as you can see. So yeah, I tend to just use, sort of guesstimate. With that, I probably use 2 wedges, so like half of the lime, and set the other half aside. There's nothing like a good bit of lime, and I think when you're having your juices, the key ingredient is either a lemon or a lime, just to make it taste so much better. It gives it so much flavour, and it takes away the kind of bitterness as well. So it's like a secret key ingredient, which I think is amazing. So I'm whacking quite a lot of lime in there. I'm gonna get my hands washed. I'm really hoping that you can see this and it is in focus and it's not just like some blurry mess. I'm just gonna give that a good old mix together. So now we've got the lime in there and the yogurt. I'm gonna add the olive oil, which is 1 tablespoon of olive oil. So I do tend to measure that out. 1 tablespoon of olive oil going into the mix. Put that aside. We then need to add in the anchovy paste, if you had anchovy paste. I obviously don't have anchovy paste, like I've just said. I've completely forgotten that. And we need 2 teaspoons of Worcester sauce. So again, I would measure this out. I'm gonna give this a little shake. I've never used this one before. It's a vegan one, probably hasn't got anchovies in it, which is what I need. But that smells beaut. So 2 tablespoons of Worcester sauce. Slowly but surely added. I don't mean tablespoons, I mean teaspoons of Worcester sauce. That's definitely a little bit more, but I do like a good bit of Worcester sauce. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. So then we're gonna add, so you've probably just noticed that I've just moved you around because I thought this is a way better angle for you to see what is going on and what I'm talking about. Okay, so I don't actually have any garlic, and the garlic granule pot that I was using smashed. So I have just put in sort of a tablespoon of garlic. I do like quite a lot of garlic, to be honest. So garlic granules are going in. 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. This is quite possibly the biggest jar of mustard I think I've ever bought in my life. So 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Get that in there. And then you can just have a pinch of salt, I add a pinch of pink salt. Getting quite a lot of salt. And a pinch of pepper, which is in here. Okay, now we're gonna mix this together. It does say to whisk it, but I usually just mix it, to be honest. Round, round, round. And what we're gonna need to do is add in a spoonful of almond milk when we've got the desired consistency. So I'm gonna say that you probably want it a bit more creamy and runny than that. So I'm just gonna get my almond milk prepared. I mean, it's kind of a good consistency, like a lovely creamy salad dressing at the moment, but I think for a pasta, you want it a tiny bit more runny. So I'm gonna keep whisking. And I'm just gonna get this ready because I think I'm gonna add in a spoonful of almond. This always needs a good shake, this almond milk, if you guys use this one. So I'm just gonna add in a dash. And I think that's probably enough, to be honest. I mean, it says you can add more if you want to, but I think I've got quite a good consistency. I might add a little bit actually, a tiny, tiny bit more. Now that smells amazing, and that is the consistency that we are looking at. So now I am going to get everything else ready. That is sort of prepped, and I can leave that to one side whilst I get everything else ready. So I've got to get my tomatoes washed. So I've said that you could use a cupful of tomatoes. I would probably use about that many tomatoes. All depends obviously how many people you're cooking for, but this recipe makes, I reckon, enough for sort of like 3 to 4 people, to be honest. Like that. Give them a little wash, and these can go to the side. It's quite large, as you can see, but I really like it, this type of kale. It's kind of softer. I don't even know yet, it's just curly kale, but I always find that it comes in different batches. Sometimes like it's really, really curly. So if anybody knows the actual name for this, I mean, it does just say organic curly kale, but it's definitely different to what I'm used to. So I would just break the leaves off like that, rip them up. I'm actually not using romaine lettuce in this, I'm just gonna use kale. So you'll see that I'm just putting it into here to give it a little wash and just kind of taking it off. You can actually use the stems as well. I mean, I do actually use them sometimes, but for this particular recipe, I'm literally just gonna whack these into here. These are actually so pretty, aren't they? When I always see like leaves like this, I just think they always look so nice. You can also, if you don't have kale, you can use spinach, but kale is just such a good thing, vegetable, like basically like, it's so good at removing toxins from the body, and it helps eliminate and enhance those natural detoxification pathways. So I would suggest, if you can use kale, then do use kale rather than spinach. I know it looks like there's spinach in the picture, which I think there probably was, to be honest. And I like to just kind of scrunch it up, especially when you get organic kale, you get quite a lot of bugs and things in. I'm sure you guys have found that. I actually found a caterpillar in my celery earlier. I've managed to rescue him and pop him outside before Fig got to him. You can actually juice these as well. So in fact, if you wanted to save them and add them to your morning juice, you can actually save these and add them, or you can freeze them. I haven't tried giving these to Fig. In fact, I'm gonna freeze these and have these on my smoothie. So instead of chucking them out, I'm gonna break that bit off. But in my smoothie, if I have a smoothie later, I'm gonna use these. I'm gonna pop them in the freezer, and then they're saved, and it's nice and chilled addition to your smoothie. Okay, now this looks beautiful. So pasta is cooked, as you can see, steaming away. We've got the dressing here, tomatoes chopped, and the kale, and I'm just gonna mix this all together in the bowl with a big old spoon, which I'm gonna grab now. And I know you're gonna wait for this to cool down, but if you're like me and you really can't be bothered, then I would just mix it all in together. So this looks absolutely delicious. So easy, so quick, no nasties, full of kale, which is so great for detoxifying, and just so yum.